Live free or die!
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, welcome. On this channel, I'm going to discuss everything there is to want to know or there is to know about the New England region of the United States. I'm actually going to link the tab of my first video on this video as well as in the description box so you can catch up on that video that I posted probably a week or two ago, just so you're all caught up and you know exactly what to expect on this channel if you want to move forward with me and learn more about this particular region of the United States. Now in this video, I'm going to discuss a little bit about my background with New England, what made me choose to move here, what sort of inspired me to make that choice, and I'm more than happy to sit down with you and to share with you that story. So take a seat yourselves, get a nice cup of coffee or tea, whatever suits your fancy, and let's chat. So I first came to New England in the summer of 2014. This was the first time I had ever been to New England. But just for some background context, I am not from New England. I am from New York State. I feel it is important to say state because I don't want people thinking I'm from New York City. I am from upstate New York. And before 2014, I had never been to New England. I had never even seen the ocean before. So this was going to be a fun new place for our family to go on vacation. And my mom picked the place at random. It's on the coast. It's a coastal town in southern Maine, and the town is called Ogunquit. And it was chosen totally at random just because it was near the water, and my mom loves vacationing near bodies of water. So we decided to take that vacation that year. And I gotta say, it was a really fun experience. I got to try lobster pizza for the first time. I got to walk the Marginal Way, which is basically this path or trail, whatever you want to call it, that goes up these rocky cliffs and you can get some really nice views of the ocean. It's really, really cool. We walked around Ogunquit. We went to the beach. We went to a water park. We went to a zoo. We had Ben and Jerry's, and we visited a lot of the cool stores there. So it was a really fun vacation. And I remember even joking with my mom the last day we were there that because at the time I was a high school student, and I was joking and saying, I really want to just, go to college in New England. I want to get out of New York. I want to go to school here. And I was joking about applying to the University of New England, which I believe is in Maine, I'm pretty sure. Someone in the comments can correct me, but yeah, basically, that's how I ended the trip. And my mom just laughed and rolled her eyes and kind of shook me off, like didn't really seem to care about my comment. But in reality, my fascination with New England only began to grow from there. So after that, I ended up in New England again 2 years later in 2016. My sister was running I think it was a track meet somewhere in, I think it was San Francisco or somewhere in California. She went to nationals. She qualified for nationals, so she went out there with my dad to compete. Whereas my mom, brother, and I ended up staying behind, and we ended up going back to New England. We went to the town of Mystic, Connecticut, which is also right on the water. And the second time going to New England, going to a whole different state, different coastal town, different place, but in the same region of the country, that also further solidified my desire. Like once I was fully back there 2 years later, I was like, this definitely is a place I want to move to. Now, I hadn't really solidified a location or a state at that point, but I just knew that like the feeling of being up here in the region, it was just something I wanted to continue to experience. And that is what happened. In 2017, my mom, sister, and I, we went to Plymouth, Massachusetts. Totally a wonderful place. I would definitely go back again. Wouldn't go during the summer though. Now that I'm up here permanently, I would probably go during the off season, despite it being a little colder. It was just a little bit bothersome with all the tourists there, and sometimes it's hard because I don't always like crowds, but at the same time, when you go to these places over the summer, it's kind of it's what you expect to deal with. But now that I live here, and now that I'm so close to a lot of these towns that I basically grew up going to as I got closer to my move-in year, it became clear to me that I, could eventually just, discover what towns I liked and how I could plan to get, go there in the future and at what time of year. But I would definitely go back to Plymouth. Plymouth was a really cool place. We did a cool historical and ghost tour there. Totally recommend going to Plymouth if you haven't ever gone to Plymouth, Massachusetts. Really, really fun. And then I didn't go to New England for a little bit, and then I ended up going back in 2019 as a birthday gift. And my mom planned a trip to Salem, Massachusetts. Now, we went in May. I would never go in October. I honestly applaud the people that do, because I would not be able to handle the crowds or the parking. It would just be such a mess. And people that I've seen, you know, online that have spoken about visiting Salem in October kind of say it's overhyped. The prices are ridiculous. And there's really no point. Like, I understand that has the spooky atmosphere to it, but I don't think I would ever do it. I would definitely go back again in the off season, because when I went in May with my mom, it was really fun. It was so chill. There was like no one there. We went to this really cool bookstore. We went to a cool pub. We saw a nice park. We went to the Salem Witch Museum, which was really cool. So it's just really cool to see a lot of history there. And of course, we had to do a ghost tour, because I love paranormal, spooky stuff just as much as I love history. And New England has both of those things pretty much at the ready for me. So we did that in 2019, and then in 2020, my mom and I went to Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I believe that was also a Christmas gift. Now, this was 2020. This was in the summer. This was peak COVID, and we obviously didn't interact with any people. Like, we pretty much just did a hiking trail on our own. We did the outdoor seating, because at that point there were so many tables and chairs where parking spots would be in the downtown area, and we ate outside. We went to Pierce Island, Four Tree Island. We did a lot of walking. We walked across one of the bridges to Maine, because Maine is on the other side of the river. And honestly, by far, like, Portsmouth is one of my favorite places. Like, I've now been there like 4 times. I went like 3 extra times in addition to the first time I went in 2020. And honestly, it was just, I just love it. Like, I don't know what it is about Portsmouth. I just love being there. I just love that it's easily, I mean, it's not too far away from me. I'm not going to say how far, because I don't want people to figure out where I live, but it's not super far from me. But sometimes when I drive there, I do have the tendency to run into traffic, which is, you know, expected, but it's not the worst drive in the world. And, you know, I can navigate the city decently, especially the downtown. I've been there a few times, and it's just such a nice vibe. I really like it there. And then later in 2020, my mom and I went to Burlington, Vermont, which wasn't a bad place. It's just something that kind of bothered me and my mother while we were there, was that there wasn't really a lot of souvenir shops. Like, all the places that we've gone to, I was able to get really cool knickknacks and things, like magnets for my fridge and things like that. Burlington really didn't have that. Like, I bought a Vermont sweatshirt from Burlington, and I had to go to the University of Vermont bookstore just to buy it, which I thought was a little tacky. I don't know. I mean, I don't think Burlington is known for the middle-class tourist vibe, because it's very upper class. Like, Portsmouth was as well, but at least it catered to the middle-class tourists. I don't know. It wasn't a bad place. I probably would go back. I mean, I've gone back another time, which I'll talk about. But holy heck, it's starting to get really dark. Yeah. It's just really annoying, because the sunset's really early now. But anyway, so we ended up going there, and that was still in 2020. That was still in the fall of that year. So it was still during COVID. We had the outdoor seating. They also had those like really cool lamps, like those heat lamps. So you're seated outside, and they have the big heat lamps next to you. And it was really, really, really welcome to have those. Burlington gets cold. I mean, we were only there in October, but it felt like winter over there. Like, they really are like cold and close to Canada, and the weather shows that. And then I'm trying to think after that. 2022, we went back to Plymouth, which was fun. 2023, my mom took me to Boston as like a college graduation gift. And it was really cool. I would totally go back to Boston. It's funny, I actually felt much safer in Boston than I've ever felt in New York City whenever I visited. I think it's because it's a smaller city. And I think a lot of people would agree with me there. Maybe not, I don't know. But when I went, it was pretty safe. We ended up accidentally going on St. Patrick's Day weekend, which I would not recommend doing that because it was very busy. But that's just when my spring break fell around that time. So there was that. But yeah, I liked Boston. I just wouldn't drive there. Like, if I was able to take a train or a bus to get into the city, I would, because I just have very extreme driving anxiety when it comes to really big cities. So I would definitely not. I wouldn't drive. But I would go back to Boston. And then in 2024, I went to Bennington, Vermont for the first time because I know there's a lot of history there. I had this months-long phase where I was really obsessed with learning about Vermont's early history, and I could do a whole video on that because it's just so fascinating compared to the other New England states. It's just so different because Vermont was not one of the original 13 colonies. It was claimed by New Hampshire and New York, and there's a whole lot of history that goes into that. But yeah, I ended up going there in 2024 just for a little trip, and it was worth it. It was such a cute little town. I would totally go back. And then November, the end of 2024, Veterans Day weekend, actually, I ended up coming back up to New England and did like a little road trip. Like, I started off in Bennington, spent the night, drove up to Burlington, then drove to Montpelier, which is the capital of Vermont. Then I drove into Concord, New Hampshire, the capital of New Hampshire, and then I drove to Portsmouth, spent the night there, drove to Kittery, Maine, and then I made that entire drive back from Kittery to upstate New York, which was insane. But now I never have to do that again because I don't live in New York anymore. And then 2025, the best year of my life so far. It took 11 years from 2014, but here I am. I have now moved to New England. I will not say what state I live in, but I do not live in New York anymore. I moved in June, this past June, so I've been here for a few months. I got a new job. It pays a lot more than my other job in New York. And I'm just very, very happy here. I'm very happy here. And that's been my journey. That's been my history from 2014 to now, and all the places I visited. Obviously, I visited way more places, but I just don't have the time to really explain all of them in this video, but that just sort of gives you a quick rundown of my history with the region and how it all started, because my mom picked a random town in Maine, and if she had never picked that town, I don't know if I would have ever, come here and fallen in love with it in the same way that I did having gone there in the first place. I don't really know, and I actually shudder to think about it because I almost don't want to think about it because I just can't imagine living anywhere else. Even as an adolescent, I knew that I didn't want to live in New York. I just didn't like New York. There's a lot of things I don't like about New York, and even as a, high school student, I could pick up on those things pretty easily. But I'm just happy to be here, and I am living my best life. And I appreciate if you stuck around till the end. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you have any questions about anything that I said, please let me know. And with that being said, I will see you guys for the next video. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you know exactly when I will post next, because I don't have a very concise schedule right now, but if you hit the notification bell, then you will know immediately when I post again. And with that being said, have a great rest of your night, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!